Hello, my loves. How are you all doing today? I want to talk about tapping into your inner child to create, right? And so, the reason why I want to talk about this because I was thinking about synchronicities, and I was thinking about obviously, the universe, spirit sends us synchronicities for validation reasons. They send us synchronicities to show us, like you're on the right track, or to validate us, to give us confirmation, to help guide us. Because obviously, our spirit guides are here to guide us. The universe is here to guide us. And so I don't know, I also sat down and, and I'm going to get into a video about synchronicities another day, like what they mean and everything. But I was like, okay, why else do we see synchronicities? Because synchronicities are magical. And, when you tap into that energy, that frequency of seeing synchronicities, whether it's numbers, whether it's someone like the other day, my dad had gave me hand wraps, right? To work out with, to lifting wraps. And this is the first time I ever worn them to the gym. I've ever seen these type of wrist wraps because they're like, no, they're old wrist wraps. And that same exact day, the first day that I brought them, this was like a month ago, I saw the exact same old wrist wraps that I've never seen anybody wear on the floor at the gym. And I was like, oh my God, did they fall out of my bag? It was at a machine that I was at. I was like, no, my wrist wraps were right here. And I was like, yo, that's some like synchronicity shit. The fact that I would see these wrist wraps on the exact same day on the floor, the very first day that I brought them, I don't know. If you believe in the magic, like that's synchronicity. That's fucking magical, and it's beautiful, and it's fun, and it's play, and numbers. I see numbers on the daily. Like, hold on, let me show you what had happened. So obviously, numbers are there to validate you. My spirit guides love to talk to me through numbers, and everybody's journey is different, but if you resonate, you know how beautiful numbers are, right? And so yesterday I stopped it at 3333. You see that? And I was like, yo, that's fucking beautiful. And then 4777. And then also I mean, it happens all the time. And I started taking screenshots of when it started happening, just because I felt like I was getting so used to it happening. And I was like, no, Irene, like, it's still magical. Like, don't ever get desensitized from the magic. And then look, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a lot of other that I screenshotted, but like, it's magical and it's beautiful. And so to get back to the point, right? And I'm not the only one who sees synchronicities. A lot of people see synchronicities. Like, it doesn't happen because you're special. It just happens when you start to vibrate. You know how I always talk about dissolving layers? From what I understand, when you dissolve certain layers, your energy expands, right? Because we're ever evolving consciousness. Our energy expands, and so we get to touch different frequencies. Like, you raise your frequency. And so when you become, become introduced to a lighter frequency, you start to see things that you didn't see before. And I always say that. And so synchronicities are a part of that. And when I started following my heart, my intuition, doing the inner work, I started to see synchronicities more. And I also believe synchronicities also help you to show that you're on the right path. And okay, but the main reason what I wanted to talk about this video is because I was like, okay, I kind of had like an epiphany, I guess. I was like, this is so fucking magical. I always talk about the magic. But I was like, oh, my spirit guides, the universe also shows us synchronicities to remind us that there is still childlike play in this world, to remind us of the magic in this world. And the reason why they want to remind us about that, and this coincides with our inner child, right? The reason why I raised my frequency was because I started healing my inner child. The reason why I got in touch with my higher self was because I started healing my inner child, and I started doing the inner work. And so the universe, spirit, I'm going to say spirit guides, your spirit guides, spirit source wants you to remember your inner child with the synchronicities and the magic, because it's easier to create from a space, from imagination, from tapping in. Like when you tap into that creativity, because we're always co-creating with the universe, we create our own realities. And when you tap into that magic and that imagination, like when you were a child, it becomes easier to create the life that you want to manifest. Don't you remember when you were younger, how you saw the world with so much beauty and playfulness? Like when you tap into that playfulness as an adult, it's easier to see, your path, your intuition, to feel, to help your intuition guide you to create through a space of play, of creativity, of imagination, of love and happiness. And so I believe it's kind of a fun way for the universe to remind us that that child, our inner child, has always been within us. Like, pay attention to your inner child, because maybe your inner child needs some healing, but your inner child wants to come out and play too. Like you, from what my understanding and what I've experienced, when you gain such a strong relationship with your inner child, with the little you, your overall deep soul connection with yourself strengthens. And so you start to, like, the other day I was on the floor. I'm a crybaby, you guys. I was on the floor crying, listening to meditation music and tapping into my younger self, the 9-year-old me, and then that transformed to tapping into my inner teen, my raging inner teen, because God only knows I was fucking angry as shit when I was a teenager. And then tapping into my college self, my young adult self. And so I was laying on the floor on my back with the meditation music on, and I envisioned myself hugging my inner child, my inner teen, and my young adult self. And I imagined all of us in a circle hugging each other. And then so I imagined myself holding hands, like in a straight line. I was holding hands with all of them and telling them that I'm going to protect them and I'm going to guide them and love them. And they have me now. And so when you tap into your inner child, the creativity, you get to see all chapters of yourself. And then you gain an entire appreciation for how strong you are. And you also learn boundaries and not to take shit anymore, because you're not protecting those younger versions of yourself, right? But, healing your inner child and tapping into that playfulness, that imagination, that creativity, it has helped me with seeing the bigger picture in everything, and because, when sometimes when you were a kid, big things didn't really seem as big because you weren't exposed to the hardships of being an adult yet. You were just, all you had to worry about was being a child. And so when you tap into that inner child, you start to let that come out and play and start seeing the world with playfulness and less severity, right? Because when we grow up, we were told that we need to be serious. You're an adult, act like an adult. Even when you were a child, people probably told you, act like an adult. And you're like, no, sir, ma'am, I'm a child. I'm gonna act like a goddamn child. But you see how this world tells you to harden up, be serious. And so along the way, you kind of abandon your inner child. You abandon that creativity. You abandon that play and that joy, and that imagination, because you needed to, quote unquote, grow up and be serious and act like an adult. But you see how life kind of got harder because that happened. When we're children, we are more in tune with our spiritual side, with the world, with the magic. Children are pure, and so we naturally have a higher vibrational state. And so when you grow up and the world hardens you, that's how you build these boundaries, these walls, the layers that overlap each other. And so as you're building these layers that harden you, when you become an adult, because you're unaware of all of this, it's just we're a product of our environment, right? But when you become an adult, it is now your job to dissolve the layers that harden you, so you could get back to that pureness, that childlike play that you once were. Because when you are born here, you're born in all your purity. It's just we are programmed, we are conditioned, we are hardened by the world around us, and then so we build all of these layers, and now it's your job to dissolve them. But when you do dissolve them, and the universe, and that's the universe's way of helping you dissolve them, is to remind you of the magic. And so that's why I think there are synchronicities also, because the universe is telling you like, hey, don't forget who you are. Wake up to who you are. Wake up. Don't forget your true essence, your true power. Don't forget the creativity, the imagination, the playfulness that you're supposed to have in this world. Life is not supposed to be serious all the time. It does not need to be serious. Life does not have to be this hustle culture. Like life, you can make, okay, this is one thing that I'm learning too. You can make money through magic. Like there are magical ways to make money. And the only reason why you believe that you can't is because the world told you the only way you can make money is having a capped salary, is having a capped pay, is doing A, B, and C to get there. So you grew up believing that that's the only way that you can earn a living, but you forget that on the other side of that, there's the spiritual, there's the magic. And when you tap back into that magic, and when you manifest through that inner child and the creativity, you start to realize like, oh shit, all I got, it's my birthright to be happy. It's my birthright to be wealthy, to have the love, to have the house, whatever it is, to be free, to just be free in nature and be a human experiencing life. And one way that has helped me realize that was to tap into the playfulness, the imagination of the world, of my inner child. Because when you have to dissolve these layers, and reprogram your brain, you have to be, how they say delusional, be delusional. You do have to be delusional in a sense, because you're believing in something that you weren't conditioned to believe. You're believing in blind faith. You're keeping blind faith in the unknown. And that's what the magic is on the spiritual side, is obviously we can't physically see it because the spiritual is energy. The universe doesn't speak English. The universe speaks frequency. And so, you're keeping blind faith in that magic. And that's why you have to tap into that creativity. That's why the universe wants to help you with the magic, to remind you like, hey, tap into your inner child, because you can create through that. Because remember when you were a child, it's easier for you to imagine. Like, don't you remember when you would play, you can imagine a bunch of shit? Like children have such a big imagination. Such a big imagination, because they're open to the frequency and the energy around them, the higher, lighter frequencies. And so that's the universe's way of telling you like, hey, you can tap into that too. Just because you've grown up doesn't mean that you lost it. You might have blocked it, but you can dissolve the layers to tap back into that. But isn't that beautiful? That the universe is always conspiring in your favor, that there are people on spirit rooting for you. Like, isn't that so beautiful to know that you're not alone here, that the universe wants you to succeed, that there's magic all around you, that the magic that you see and the beauty and you see in the world is a reflection of the beauty and the magic in you. And the universe is just reminding you on a day-to-day basis, like, hey, don't let the world harden you. Remember, It's like that from Lion King, remember who you are, remember. That's exactly how I see it. Like they're telling you, like your ancestors are up there telling you, remember. Remember why you came here. Remember how powerful you are. Create through that imagination, through the magic, through love. Create through love and gratitude, through these frequencies. Because when you do that, it is so much easier to create the life that you want. But all of the purpose that they're doing this is to help you tap back into your true essence, which is this magic, which is this childlike play, which is love, which is who you've always been. Because they remind you you've always been powerful. Yeah, when you see life through that beauty, you start to trust that there are things in the unknown. You start to blindly follow your intuition and follow your heart. Because the universe wants you to follow your heart. Your intuition is your heart. The universe wants you to follow your heart because by following your heart, that is guiding you through your soul's purpose. That is guiding you to your highest timeline. And so it becomes easier to keep blind faith and follow your heart when you start tapping into that magic and trusting that magic and seeing that magic all around you. But that's part of the purpose why you're here. The whole purpose is to work through the layers that were put upon you, that society hardened you, so you can remember the magic and the love that you felt, when you were born here, that you came in with. And when you get in touch with that version of you, your inner child, the creativity, you can now see beyond the layers, see beyond the veil, and you can now create through magic and understand that everything you've ever wanted has always been here. It was just on that other side of the fear and the doubt and the hardened layers that kept you from your play, your creativity, your imagination. And I know I went deep into this, but that's what I believe part of the reasons why Spirit shows us synchronicities is to awaken our soul, is to help us remember who we are and to help us live life easier. Because when you tap into that childlike play, life does become easier because you understand things and you can now use your power to manifest and create the life that you want with your imagination. Because manifestation does require some imagination, right? Because you need to imagine that you are worthy of everything. Because it's hard to believe that you're worthy when you have been programmed for so long to believe that you are only worthy if you have a certain amount of salary. You're only worthy if you look a certain way, if you talk a certain way, whatever it is, right? And so the imagination, when you tap into that childlike play, helps you imagine the life that you want. And so as you imagine it and as you feel that you are capable, that it is here, that you are worthy of it, that the universe is a mirror, you start to feel and believe in yourself because of that imagination, right? And so the universe wants to show you the magic, because that's their whole purpose. Your spirits are here to guide you. And they show you the magic on a daily basis because your purpose as a human is obviously to be human, right? But is to dissolve the layers and remember who you are. You don't always need to be healing, but life becomes easier when you remember who you